What's up, guys? This week we're going to be painting. You know that you've seen this. You've probably already seen us finish the wiring. Not sure which order these are going to come out in. But we are to the point on the wiring where we need fender wells so that we can start mounting our fuse boxes and stuff like that. So we got to have somewhere to mount all this stuff so we can finish up. So we've got the fender wells out. This one I haven't done anything yet other than just kind of clean it. And this one I have started DA sanding it and getting it slicked up, cleaned up. Now, we're not going for show car, lowrider type paint here, okay? We want durable, we want it to look good, be clean, we want it to last. You know, that's kind of the goals we're looking for here. So I'm going to show you a little spray trick that a body shop friend of mine showed me years ago that worked great inside of engine bays and trunks and stuff like that. Places where there's not a lot of sunlight hitting it, but you just need a good little paint job. I think a lot of cars do this by factory anyway. But what we're going to be doing, DAing it all down. A lot of people are terrified when they see rust like this. Don't be scared of it. It's just rust. Now, if that was rot and scaling, I'd be cutting it out and doing it. This is the worst on both of them, is just this little top part. You can barely feel it. It's not rough. I'm going to clean it up as much as I can, along with all these little spots where it's just spots where the paint had just, was gone. And we're going to be spraying over one of my favorite products of all time by one of my favorite companies, Tamco. This is their Galva Prime 2K high build primer. That's their website. If you're needing paint supplies, look these guys up. Do yourself a favor. I've been using their stuff for years. I painted my Super Bee. I've painted trail dusters. I've painted multiple motorcycles and cars and truck. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. I mean, you look at my paint shelf. I mean, Tamco. This is my Super Bee paint leftover. Tamco. This is from Eric's bike. I mean, just Tamco. I got some Nason stuff too for local color match stuff, but Destroyer Gray Tamco. I mean, all of this, I'm a big fan of the Tamco stuff. So anyway, this primer can be sprayed over surface rust, not rot, over surface rust. It'll last. And it sprays good, lays good, sands good. It's just a really good product. So we're going to be spraying it over with that. And then I think it's over on the shelf, but I have the color match for termite as well. We're going to get those sprayed. So I'm going to get back to sanding and check back with you guys in a minute. This is another product I like to use, guys. Rust Bullet. You might have heard me talk about this before. It's fantastic. I just opened it. Now, I don't like their lids. They seal crazy good, but they are a pain to get open and a pain to reseal. But anyway, if you've got rust that is a little thick, not bad enough, nearly about to want to cut out, but also doesn't clean up, but still kind of leaves a brown, you can brush that on there. And man, when it seals, it's good. And so I just went around all the screw holes. You can see here where it was a little scaly and just brushed a good coat on it. Got that one done. And that's gonna really, on the thicker rust stuff, it's really gonna hold real good. So if you have a sandblaster, you wanna blast that stuff out, you can. My sandblaster's not acting right at the moment, so I just like using that stuff. I will be brushing it over here on termite, just right down here in these rockers. It's not bad, but it's just, it's not rot or anything. It's just enough where I'm gonna clean it up with a wire wheel and brush it on there, and I'll know that that's gonna be good. So that's another product that I like to use. You can spray it, you can brush it, you can do lots of ways. And like I said, when it dries, like it's there. It seals really good. So I'm gonna let this dry just a minute, and then I'll probably flip them and clean the bottoms. I probably should have done that first, because once the bottoms are clean, after we paint, we're gonna be spraying it with rust free, I don't know. It's just a rubberized undercoating. That's the gun that you spray it on there with. I know it looks old, and I guess it kind of is old, but it's still good. It's rubber. So I did the whole bottom side of the Super B with that as just a sound deadener and protect it. So I'm gonna do, I've done the back fender wells on termite. Whenever I fixed the rust after I first got it, I coated all of that. But I've never done the inside of the front one. So I'm just gonna give them a couple good coats of just good coating under the front to kind of help protect that. And they'll be ready to go back on. So I'll check back in a minute, guys, and we'll get these things primed. All right, guys, well, we got them primed yesterday. And I'm gonna kind of wipe over them just a little bit, real lightly with some sandpaper, just to kind of knock down any little, we're not going for show car. We're not going for this with these. We're just wanting, like I said, a good, dependable paint job. There's a lot that I could talk about with body work. I'm not a body man per se. I've never worked in a body shop professionally. I have a lot of buddies that own body shops and do that. I've learned from them. I've learned just doing it myself over the years. Used to do it a lot. Don't do it much anymore, because painting cars is a major investment. Like, there's a lot of work, a lot more than people realize. I get asked all the time for people to paint their stuff, and like, I just don't think people understand how much work is involved. And this car, this is Tamco single stage. There's no clear coat on this car. It's only single stage. And I mean, you can look down the side. This is years of, the quarter panels are new. I put those on. I put all new floors in it. The hood and the fenders and the doors are original. The roof is original, but the trunk, the quarter panels, I think I put new the lower part of the fender, that's new. The rockers are original, but the trunk's original. But I mean, there was just this car came from Wisconsin. I mean, that's the old quarter panels up there, and they are nothing but Bondo and rotted metal with about 10 layers of paint on top of them. But this is metal and block sanding. I mean, just so much sanding and primer went into this car. I mean, just gallons of 2K and feather feel and epoxy, and just lots of body work. And then, you paint. So there's a lot that can go into body work. We're not doing that with these. These are just a straight up, we just got a couple coats of primer on there. Didn't even put it on heavy. As you can see, some light spots still there. I wasn't worried about that. Because I mainly wanted them to get primer on the bare metal spots, stuff like that. So anyway, we're gonna get the Super B out. Termite's up on the lift. I'm just buttoning up the wiring underneath and plugging in all the transmission stuff. You guys may or may not have already seen that. And got one more wire. I gotta find the backup light wire. That's what I'm gonna be doing today on that. But you'll see that in the other video whenever that comes out. All right, we got our dark Baltic blue HQ9 paint code. We're gonna mix up just a little bit and get these things sprayed. All right, guys, they're still drying. You can see the first part's flashed, the back part's still wet, but they're still real wet. It's not completely flashed out right now. So I was gonna tell you kind of what I did, how I spray these, and usually if I'm doing, and it depends. For this application, and this works for like door jambs, inside of trunks, engine bays, unless you're doing a show car finish, ignore this. But if you're doing like driver, something just dependable, and even factories do this a lot of times, you'll mix your clear in with your base coat. I know that sounds wrong and sounds weird, but it's a very real thing. It saves you time because you get one coat, but it's really, when you don't need or want a super glossy finish that the clear is going to provide. Now, if you do, then spray it regularly. But like, you know, you can see how Termite's firewall, it's got a little sheen to it, but not a lot. And the radiator core support's about the same. And then you know, of course, what the outside of Termite looks like. So glossy, super glossy fender wells would have just looked really weird and overdone. So I wanted it to look clean and uniform and factory color, but I didn't want it looking too new and over restored or whatever you want to define it as. So you mix your clear in, mix your base up like normal, and then you mix your clear like normal, and you mix as much clear according to kind of what you want. The more gloss you want, the more percentage you're going to add. I didn't want a lot of gloss, but you also got to remember that the more clear you add in, the more it's going to compromise your coverage because you're essentially kind of thinning out your base coat. So what I've normally stuck to is somewhere between that 10 to 20% ratio. So I'll mix my base, and then I'll do anywhere from 10 to 20% of that, depending on how much gloss I want. With this, I went kind of right in the middle, around that 10 to 15 more. That's how much clear I mix, and then you just pour them together, mix them up. This is an old mixing cup, but you can see I just kind of go by ounces on these things. This is the only one I got this, and it's not clean. It has stuff in it, but you just mix it over here, your normal ratio, whatever, and then you come around here to your ounces. And some mixing cups that I've had in the past have actually percent on the side that you can do this with, but otherwise you're gonna have to just kind of do some math with your ounces. But it's faster. Again, I wouldn't do this anywhere that's gonna be in the sun, anything you're planning on cutting and buffing, none of that stuff. Just stuff that is like engine bays, door jambs, trunks. A lot of times you can pop the trunk of your car and you'll notice the underside is not as shiny as the outside. That's what they do. So anyway, this is kind of the, you can see it's shiny, but it's not like glossy, glossy, glossy. But it's kind of starting to flash out a little bit now, but still gonna look good. It's gonna do for termite. So it's gonna, and once we get them in there, then I'll undercoat them once they're mounted. That way it just would be a little bit easier. It'd be easier to spray them out here, but it's kind of aggravating fighting with stuff that's been undercoated and then trying to put it back together, and you know, grounds and all that kind of stuff. I want to make sure I get good grounds with everything. So I'm just going to wait. They're already cleaned up. We'll get them mounted once all the bolts are in, all that kind of stuff. Then we'll just undercoat it all at one time. Not a big deal. All right, the battery tray is here. It's in good shape, just kind of nasty and crusty. I'm gonna just get it cleaned up and just hit it with some Rust-Oleum, like a satin black or something like that. I wasn't gonna worry about trying to get it. This is all the fun of electrical, all the stuff going on. But these are dry. You can tell it's just kind of like a dull single stage, which is exactly what I wanted. So they may be a little glossier. I kind of wish I'd have went down maybe to like 10%, but hey, once it's in the engine bay, it's gonna be covered with wires and whatnot, so it'll work. Good enough for what we're doing. All right, so we got the rust bullet on down here. That's all sealed off. The other side looks about the same. I got one of the fenders in here. We're gonna go ahead and throw this on. They're a little shinier than I wanted them to be, but they'll do. I was kind of hoping to get a little more dull like the firewall and stuff is to match, but once they get coated in dirt and everything else, it'll match. Well, guys, is it too shiny? I mean, I guess it is what it is, huh? They're both in. It's a lot bluer. It looks worse on video than it does in real life compared to the firewall, but usually you would do like a dark base under a color like this. The reason I didn't worry about it was because their primer was gray that they went on top of it with, but it just kind of turned a little bit brighter. But what are you gonna do? This one's now gonna come back off because I'm finna tackle that harness and it would just be easier. I just wanted to kind of put them up there and look at it. I did put that rubber piece back in down there with just some rivets, that little splash shield. But they're back on. That's what it's gonna look like. I've started setting the Sublime quick harness on there and kind of hooking all that up. This week's video is a little short because this was also going on. I need that wasp to go somewhere else. What is that, the ivy? Is that the main stalk?
Yes, and it is so heavy.
That's
probably 80-year-old ivy.
That's a beefy piece of ivy there.
A beefy piece of ivy. I'm gonna chop it in half.
Our RC crawler course is gonna get an upgrade.
Dad, videotape me trying to chop it in half.
You're not gonna chop it.
At least I tried.
Getting the rare occasion of Lucy doing work.
Well, let me.
Alright, we're gonna go eat lunch.
Y'all get this done and get all this picked up for us.
We're gonna Taco Bell.
We're gonna get Taco Bell.
Nah, bro.
Should I get a Baja Blast freeze or like one of the pink ones?
Oh, no doubt. No, the Baja Blast.
Better pay me.
What you think about manual labor there, Lucy? What you think about the manual labor?
Sucks.
It does. We've made some progress.
So guys, as you see, we've also started our remodel of our house, and it was a house that my grandpa built in the 40s. So there's a lot of stuff to do, and we've been living in it for 15 years, and so we're just updating and doing that also. So work has slowed down a little bit on termite, but we're still working on it, still plugging away at it. So we're still wrapping up the wiring. We don't have much left to go on the wiring, and once that's done, I'm hoping things are going to kind of pick up, because then we're down to radiator and some plumbing and you know, exhaust. But other people's going to do that because I don't have the stuff to build exhaust with. So hopefully to go a little bit faster, I guess is what I'm saying. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.
You gonna do it, Judah? No. He's plenty big.
Give me that tape. Give me that tape.
Hey, quit looking at me. He did it. The second you touched his tail, he just immediately looked at me and I'm like, I didn't do it.